Adjunct Professor Moran, Macroeconomics 111. From our prior lessons, we've learned that the three economic questions, what to produce, how to produce, who receives the goods and services, will determine an economic system. And the economic systems are traditional, socialist, or capitalist. In the United States, we're predominantly capitalist. So we're going to focus in on the capitalist system, some general principles of capitalism. A principle is a rule or an idea. And without these rules or ideas, capitalism would break down. There are 5 of them. First, though, I thought we'd take a minute to talk about the history of capitalism. Adam Smith is considered the father of modern economics. He is our hero. He wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations. It's a longer title, but that's how people spoke back then. We're much more today of subject, verb, object. So people just shorten the title to Wealth of Nations. It was published in 1776. That's no coincidence. When our founding fathers created the Constitution in 1787, they had read this book, and the ideas of political freedom dovetail nicely with Adam Smith's ideas concerning capitalism of economic freedom. Now, at this time, European countries were practicing an economic system called mercantilism, and he's criticizing that. And it's the economic system based on the belief that the source of wealth was money, gold, and silver. So countries should accumulate as much as possible. And you do that by going to other areas of the world, taking them over, colonizing them, and limiting their opportunities. So you exploit their resources for the benefit of the mother country. Now, Adam Smith is saying that that's not right. A better system is capitalism. And he says that the wealth of a nation equals the amount of goods and services available to a country's citizens. And that's what we do today. We're going to be talking about gross domestic product, which is the final market value of all goods and services produced in a period of time. And it's not the money, it's the goods and services that you buy with the money that is the wealth of nations. When you're hungry, you don't eat dollars. When you're cold, you don't bury yourself under a pile of ones. It's the food and the blankets that you buy that is truly the wealth of nations. And he says that the government ought to promote this idea of the production of goods and services. And to do that, he recommends a policy called laissez-faire. Now, it's interesting that a Scottish person, Adam Smith, is using French words in his theory. And the reason that's so is because Adam Smith accompanied 2 children of a Duke of England on what's called the Grand Tour of Europe. So in order to get culture and sophistication, you would take the Grand Tour and you'd go to the most cultured and civilized places in Europe. And you'd come back and you'd be sophisticated. Well, when he was there, he was talking to the intelligentsia of Europe, and one was an economist, and he said, we used to tell the farmers and the peasants what to plant and when to harvest, and we noticed that when we stopped telling them, output went up. Adam Smith takes this concept of laissez-faire and applies it to the entire theory of capitalism, which is how a French word gets into a Scottish person's theory. Now, the government can best promote the production of goods and services by not getting involved. Well, that's interesting. I mean, under mercantilism, for example, in the Age of Discovery, Columbus went to the king and queen of Spain and said, you know, I'd like to go and discover gold and spices for you. And they said, okay, here's 3 ships, we'll set you up, we'll tell you exactly what to do, go get it. Here, though, so that's easily understood if somebody's telling you what to do, but the best production of goods and services can be done by the government not getting involved. And Adam Smith actually uses the term invisible hand to describe this. I could show you I would like to show you the invisible hand, but I can't because it's invisible. The invisible hand is self-interest. It's greed. Each person in our system will work very hard to satisfy their needs. So when you go shopping, you'll want to buy the best good available to you. Businesses will not care about you, but will try to provide the best good that you want at the lowest cost to win business from their competition. That's the invisible hand. So next we're going to begin discussing the principles of capitalism, our system, and see some of the guidelines that make capitalism work.